Bowl Special, sponsored by LSU supporters Creed and Creed, your local injury attorneys.
Well, welcome into a special bowl edition of sports. That's right, bowl season is upon us, and those LSU Tigers, yeah, they're going bowling. Despite what many may call a disappointing year for the Tigers, they have one last chance to end things on a high note heading into the offseason. So where will the Bayou Bengals be bowling at? We're going to take it over to Kinder's Texas Bowl in H-Town. Yes, Houston, Texas at NRG Stadium. The 2024 Kinder's Texas Bowl will be the 19th edition of the postseason bowl game and will mark the 11th year of the SEC versus Big 12 showdown. Now, before this was the Texas Bowl, this bowl was actually known as the Blue Bonnet Bowl, which was played from 1959 to 1987 and was also the first ever bowl game played in the city of Houston. Well, then it turned into the Houston Bowl, which lasted from 2000 to 2005. So what happened to the Houston Bowl? Well, the Houston Bowl's contract with EV1 Net expired, leaving the game without a sponsor. The Houston Bowl also still owed some money to the Big 12 and the Mountain West conferences after the game in 2005, and there were questions in regard to the long-term longevity and survival of this bowl game. Now, that was until the NFL Network acquired TV rights and naming rights to the bowl, and Lone Star Sports and Entertainment took over game management, and in comes the Texas Bowl. The first Texas Bowl featured number 16 Rutgers and Kansas State on December 28th of 2006, in which the Rutgers came away with a 37-10 victory. Now, the 19th edition will feature a battle between Louisiana and Texas. Yes, the two states we talk about football the most, as the LSU Tigers will match up against the Baylor Bears. Now, let's jump into these two teams and what they bring. These two programs are no strangers to the Texas Bowl, as they're both making their third appearance in this bowl game. The Tigers and Bears will be meeting for the 12th time, with their last meeting coming in the 1985 Liberty Bowl, which saw Baylor come out on top with a 21-7 win. But LSU leads the all-time series 8-3, and they will look to add one more win to the column before 2024 comes to an end. LSU is coming into the game riding high on a two-game winning streak with wins over Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, while the Baylor Bears have won their last 6 games and are looking to keep their win streak alive against the Bayou Bengals. All right, now we take a deeper look at the Tigers. LSU season did not go as expected, as they were looking to be a college football playoff team. They missed those college football playoffs. They finished 5-3 in the SEC and 8-4 overall. The Tigers played 10 bowl-eligible teams this season, walking away with 7 victories out of those 10. Before the final 2 wins, the Tigers dropped 3 straight games to Texas A&M, Alabama, which was an embarrassing loss for the LSU Tigers, just simply didn't show up to play in that game, and the Florida Gators, which quite frankly took them out of the college football playoffs contention. Offensively, the Tigers are led by junior quarterback Garrett Nussmeier, who just recently announced he will be returning to Baton Rouge next season. We'll get into that here in a little bit, but Nussmeier has thrown for nearly 3,800 yards and 26 touchdowns and completed 312 passes this season. Adding to the attack has been wideout Kyron Lacey, who has tallied 58 catches for 866 yards and 9 touchdowns, and running backs Caden Durham and Josh Williams, who have combined for over 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns combined. Defensively, Whit Weeks has been a monster for the Tigers with 119 total tackles and 10 TFLs, along with Ed rusher Braden Swenson, who has 8.5 sacks and 13 TFLs. Looking at some of the numbers and this is the college football playoff team, but there were some bumps along the way. This is a team chasing a national championship, and though that will not be achieved this year, head coach Brian Kelly says this is a team who is excited to take advantage of the opportunity that lies in front of them.
Oh yeah, we'll have a very competitive football team that will go out and represent LSU in a manner that we expect. Our guys are excited about playing. Every player that is on that practice field is 100% committed and excited about being there. We don't have one guy that is like, I got to do this. I mean, they are excited. And when you have that, you have great morale, guys that are committed and will play hard for LSU. And that, like, when you're talking about representing the brand, you want a team that's going to go out there and compete their tail off, and this football team will.
And as previously mentioned, the Baylor Bears entered the Kinder's Texas Bowl on a 6-game winning streak to end the regular season for the first time in school history, finishing with an 8-4 overall record and a 6-6 record in the Big 12 play. This is the 12th bowl berth in the last 15 years for the Bears and its first trip to Houston since its 2018 win over Vanderbilt in the Academy Sports Outdoor Texas Bowl. The Bears possess one of the nation's top offensive attacks, ranking in the top 10 in yards per game, yards per play, and points per game over the last 2 months. That offense is led by junior quarterback Sawyer Robertson, who has thrown 26 touchdowns and 10 starts this season. Joining Robertson in the backfield is freshman running back Bryson Washington, who has put up monster numbers with just over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns in 10 games. The Bears are quite stout on the defensive side of the ball as well, featuring Matt Jones and Keaton Thomas, both who have topped 100 tackles each, something that has not been done between a Baylor duo since 2012. All right, and we look at the tail of the tapes here, and we look, the Bears hold a slight advantage over LSU in points per game at 34.7 points per game. But let's not forget, this is an LSU offense who has been clicking. And yes, we're talking about an LSU team who obviously plays in the SEC, and we know how those SEC defenses can perform. LSU has scored a combined 61 points over the last 2 games of this season. We will likely see 2 different styles of offense on the field in this one, as a Tiger team who will air the ball out with over just about 500 pass attempts on the season, and a Baylor team who has found much success on the ground with 458 rush attempts, averaging 4.9 yards per carry. LSU has been better on third downs this season, converting on 49% of those third down attempts this year. Both teams are over 80% in the red zone. All right, we look at the LSU personnel as we talk about the transfer portal and the ever-changing transfer portal as college football has changed quite a bit. LSU Tigers had 16 members of the 2024 roster enter the transfer portal and has had a few players, including former Neville Tiger star Will Campbell and star tight end Mason Taylor, who both declared for the NFL draft. Head coach Brian Kelly says he is confident in the guys who will be stepping on the field at NRG Stadium, and says he's also excited to see what's in store for the 2025 LSU Tigers.
I like our group. Now, would I like the Will Campbell starting at left tackle and Emory Jones at right tackle? Absolutely, but we're excited about the next step for those guys as well, right? Tyree Adams will get an opportunity. We have great confidence in him. Paul will continue to play for us. Mubanga, DJ Chester, obviously, getting an opportunity. Bo Bordelon gets an opportunity now to play some football for us. Colin Eccles, is a guy that we have a lot of trust in. Miles Frazier is going to play in the bowl game. He has position flexibility, so we may kick him out to tackle and give us some help out there. We really like the progression of Weston Davis that can play tackle for us on both sides. So again, I think we feel really good about the guys that we're going to put out there. And as an offensive line, as a group of 5 guys, we're going to be able to compete with anybody. You just go up and down the roster. You can find tight ends. Look, we'll have to be creative, but we feel very comfortable that, we can, put, our offense in a position that will be very effective. And clearly, we don't have, Mason, and he was a great target, but we're excited about the next step for him and support him 1,000% in what his decision was. But we have other guys on our roster that are going to be able to step in, and we feel great about what they can do for us. And I think that this is a look at what 2025 could look at. As you know, we're in the transfer portal as well. We're going to build positional depth as well, and you'll see that, as we continue to work through the transfer portal. But we want to blend some youth with some positional depth as well. So we're addressing that as we speak. So you'll kind of see that as we move forward.
And when we return, we will take a deeper look at how the LSU Tigers ended the season with a big win over Oklahoma, and we'll hear more from Coach Brian Kelly on who we can expect to see on the field on December 31st with the transfer portal in full effect, and a few guys in the NFL draft. That's coming up when we return.
LSU Bowl Special, sponsored by LSU supporters Creed and Creed, your local injury attorneys.
Well, as the Tigers prepare for the Kinder's Texas Bowl, they are hoping to have a healthy Garrett Nussmeier on the field, leading to the offense. Nussmeier has played good football to close out the regular season, but he did deal with an injury against Oklahoma, which was a big win for the LSU Tigers as they got things started on the right foot. Let's take a look back at what the LSU Tigers did in that final win of the regular season.
The Bayou Bengals have their highest scoring game in SEC play to wrap up the regular season. But the key to LSU's 37-point outing against Oklahoma comes down to a healthy Chris Hilton finally clicking in this purple and gold offense. The Zachary native only has 2 catches on the day, but both go for touchdowns of at least 40 yards. And the junior receiver's deep threat ability opens up an offense for 395 total yards on the night.
The deep threat has been missing from our offense, and it's been difficult. He was out 8 weeks, and it takes a while to get back into rhythm. The timing wasn't quite where it needed to be, but it normally takes about 4 weeks to kind of get that. That's why you have preseason camp. I'm happy for him. He got the game ball.
It adds a whole nother level to our offense, obviously. As you can see, having Chris out there to be able to make plays with his speed, it's something defenses always have to defend against and be worried about.
Saturday is just the 3rd game Hilton plays all year. After battling through an ankle injury, the receiver suffers during the last day of fall camp right before the 2024 season kicks off. But another player battling injury Saturday night, quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. The Sooners sacked the Tigers QB midway through the second quarter, and although Nussmeier does miss a series, the junior comes back and finishes with 277 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and only 9 incompletions. And head coach Brian Kelly credits his QB for battling through adversity to wrap up the regular season.
That's an easy tap out for most people, right? That's an easy one to say, I'm not coming back. But that's the kind of player he is. That's the kind of competitor he is.
We had a talk, and I told him there was no way I was sitting out. A lot of these guys have busted their butts for the last year, and a lot of these seniors, and LSU means a lot to me. It means the world to me, and I bleed these colors no matter what anybody has to say about me. And there was no way that I was going to watch the rest of that game on from the sideline.
And although the Bayou Bengals do hang 37 points on the Sooners, the Tigers should finish with even more points Saturday night. LSU settles for 3 field goals with red zone trips. And head coach Brian Kelly highlights how the Tigers need to produce more scoring going forward.
We've been working on it, and he's not there yet. I mean, we missed some throws today, too, you saw. And some of those are mechanical. There's another guy that is so committed to, being better at those things. And this first year of competition for him really was a window toward what are those things that he'll be working on in the off season. So when he, hopefully comes back next year, can take that next step.
A bittersweet ending for the Bayou Bengals. LSU enters 2024 with postseason championship aspirations, but ends the year with 4 regular season losses. But BK is confident in what awaits LSU in 2025.
We're taking receipts, and we'll see you at the national championship.
LSU Bowl Special, sponsored by LSU supporters Creed and Creed, your local injury attorneys.
When you watch the game on December 31st, you'll probably see some new Tiger faces out in the field as, yes, LSU, just like every college in America, is dealing with the transfer portal. But the Tigers have some things happening for the 2025 season. While the Tigers are losing some big names, they're working to bring some names in to help this team compete for a national championship next season. One of those names being former Oklahoma Sooner Bauer Sharp. Transfer portal has changed the way recruiting works in college football, but just as every coach in America is adjusting, so is Brian Kelly.
Yeah, look, recruiting in this model is not ideal, right? Because you don't have, market kind of target numbers. It's not true free agency, right? In the NFL, you got to go 4 years. And then after 4 years, there's a number. This is what you get. You walk into a building and you go, this is what I demand, right? And so you can truly recruit them, right? You say, hey, this is why you should come to our club. This is why, and this is the plan we have. This one's a little bit different, and we're still recruiting, right? We're talking about where you fit. This is the plan we have for you. This is why this makes sense for you. And then you have to deal with all the other iterations relative to contracts and things of that nature. But we believe we've got a great plan. We believe that we're in a position that we can be competitive with everybody in the country relative to what those contracts look like. And we feel confident that we're going to be able to put together the team that is needed to compete for the national championship. First of all, he's a talented player, but he's got physicality, especially in the run game. If you watch him closely, I mean, some of the things they did with him in the passing game, we've seen from other tight ends, right? But if you really look at his body of work, it's the physicality in the run game, pulling, blocking tackles, out on the perimeter. Love his physicality in the run game. Still, a very good athlete. Came in as a quarterback, at Southeast Louisiana, and certainly has the ability to do some really good things in the passing game for us as well. But I think what really stood out was having that kind of versatility in the run game and the passing game.
And when we return, we will give you what my keys to success for both LSU Tigers and the Baylor Bears are. That's coming up when we return.
The LSU Bowl Special, sponsored by LSU supporters Creed & Creed, your local injury attorneys.
And now let's talk some keys to victory for these two teams heading into the 2024 Kinder's Texas Bowl. For the LSU Tigers, I think it all starts with getting the run game going early. They had 139 yards against Vandy and 110 yards against Oklahoma on the ground. This is a team that struggled on the ground in early parts of the season. If they can get their ground game going and make things easier for Garrett Nussmeier, this team will find lots of success. Number two, stay disciplined on defense. This is a Baylor Bears team who offensively, they attack you from all different angles, and they can beat you on the air, they can beat you on the ground, and if they have the opportunity, they will do just that. So for this LSU defense, Whit Weeks as the captain on that defense, it's going to be crucial for that defense to stay disciplined and do their jobs, be where they're supposed to be, and everything else will take care of itself. For my third key to victory for the LSU Tigers, it's simply go out and win a football game. Finish a football game, which is something we've seen this team struggle to do. We've seen the LSU Tigers come out flat in times. We've seen them have leads and kind of look like they want to give it away. For this team against a team like Baylor in a game like this to end the season, it's going to be big for them to finish this game off and really not give Baylor a chance of giving them any kind of hope of getting back and win this ball game. For the Baylor Bears, it's going to start for them with being physical. There's a lot of young players going to be out in the field for the LSU Tigers. A lot of guys who have not seen a ton of playing time this season. I think it's going to be big for Baylor to come out there and bring some physicality to these younger players and make them uncomfortable and get them off schedule, if you will, on the defensive side of the ball. Now, number two for Baylor, consistency in the run game. Baylor has been consistent all season long. It's as simple as just continuing to do what they've done all year long. LSU has struggled at times stopping the run in games, and we've seen LSU struggle to stop running quarterbacks, and I believe this is a team that can really find openings and gash the LSU defense. So Baylor needs to continue to do that. Third one, play with the chip, earn your respect. Baylor's a team a Big 12 team playing the SEC, earn your respect, come out there and fight and get a win. When we return, we'll wrap things up as we head into the 2024 Kinder's Texas Bowl. Stay with us.